What's going on, people? Guns Blazing back at it again, and welcome to yet another episode of Yu-Gi-Oh! Lore, the series that doesn't focus on the card game itself, but the stories behind them. By taking a close look, we can see the details in not only the descriptions, but also the artwork, stats, effects, and other works considered canon by Konami. Today we're focusing on Warrior of Zera, a seemingly inconspicuous 4-star vanilla monster. But don't be fooled, he has his fair share of adventures. So let's dive into this story that's not at first what it seems. Of angels and devils, of fairies and fiends. Warrior of Zera is a 4-star Earth warrior sporting mediocre stats. His description reads, a wandering warrior who seeks the sanctuary where he can gain the power of the Archlords. To escape the temptation of evil fiends, he fights solo day by day. So a few things to start off. The sanctuary he's seeking is none other than the sanctuary in the sky, as we will soon see. It's a heaven-like utopia that is home to many fairies. His name, Zera, is actually Hebrew for seed. It could also potentially mean beginnings, according to some sources, which is very fitting because this card gives birth to that of many different stories. As we move on, just keep his name in mind. As mentioned, Zera flies completely solo, so that no fiends could give him any evil ideas. But it seems that our boy is lacking some serious self-control. Because what's the first thing that he goes out and does? You might have guessed it, he teams up with a fiend. Realizing how long it would take to get the power that he wanted from the sanctuary, Zera decided to take a little shortcut. He willingly accepts a dark offer as seen in Zera ritual. He knew there would be consequences, but at this point, he didn't care. So, teaming up with a fiend of similar strength to him, they combined to form a terrifying monster. Who was this fiend that he met? Well, you might remember this guy from as early as starter deck Kaiba. Ryukishin Powered was once a gargoyle-like creature with a somewhat humanoid form, and probably like someone in your crew, he was a part-time clown. Ryukishin Powered's description states that his dragon-like form and increased strength can be attributed to the powers of darkness. Tells Warrior of Zera, who is also on a quest for power, that if he gives in to the darkness just like he did, he too can become more powerful. Warrior of Zera accepts the deal, and Zera the Mant was born. If you look a little closely, this new creature has the same body structure and pose as Ryukishin Powered, but with the color and details of Zera's sword. Also note that even though rituals technically don't need these exact two monsters, their levels perfectly sum up to Zera the Mant's. So Zera ended up getting the power that he wanted, but at the cost of becoming a mindless monster, losing his humanity. Most sadly, he broke his own rule to never team up or be tempted by a fiend. Well, is that really the end for Warrior of Zera? Yes, actually. Except, you see, that's not the only road he can take. Similar to another lore we recently covered, Zera's story involves multiple possibilities and alternate endings, based on the choices he makes. With that said, there may yet be hope for our wandering warrior. So here's another alternate ending, if you will. In this path, Zera doesn't immediately fall prey to the allure of darkness. Rather, he makes a real effort to find the sanctuary in the sky. So as he's wandering and avoiding the temptation of Ryukishin Powered, he sees a civilized place far off in the distance, thinking it could be the sanctuary. But when he gets there and the clouds turn dark, he realizes that this isn't it. The place he stumbled upon is not actually the sanctuary, but Pandemonium. Zera was looking for the Archlords, but he found the Archfiends instead. You're looking to gain the power of the Archlords, they asked him. Why go all the way there when you're already here? We can give you as much power as they can, is what they said to him. Zera thinks about their offer for a while, and ultimately, for the sake of convenience, he accepts. And so, he becomes an Archfiend himself. The Archfiends are happy that they successfully recruited another warrior that seems to have some potential in him, and Zera fully seized the opportunity, quickly raising in rank and strength. He becomes the general of Archfiends and eventually receives the power that he was promised, making a name for himself amongst all of Pandemonium. Mazera Devil, he called himself. Ma, meaning evil, Zera and Devil, a wordplay on devil. This ending is a small step up from becoming a frothing monster, but the problem still stands, that Zera sacrifices morals for a shortcut to power. But hold on to your seats, there are more alternate endings. Alternate endings? Yeah. So, in this alternate path, Zera diligently journeys toward the sky. He keeps his tradition of fighting solo and doesn't give in to any temptations. Finally, it all pays off when he successfully reaches the sanctuary in the sky and becomes known as Zeradius, the Herald of Heaven. Zeradius and Sanctuary are parallel to Archfiend General and Pandemonium. Same stats and similar effects. So, when the time is right, Zeradius is promoted to an Archlord, Archlord Zerato, where he finally receives the power that he was looking for. Finally, a happy ending, right? He accomplished his goal, he got to the sanctuary, and he got his powers. Well, see, here's the thing. Despite resisting temptation all up to this point, Zerato became corrupted by the power of the Archlords, and uses it not to help the sanctuary, but to betray it. I already have the power I wanted, he thought. I don't need to serve the sanctuary anymore. So he goes from Archlord Zerato to Darklord Zerato. The shining sanctuary in the sky is seen in Archlord's background, but ominously, in Darklord Zerato's background, the sanctuary seems to have fallen into ruins by Zerato's hand. This is, by any account, a tragedy, that although Zera stayed true to his morals until the very end, although he resisted Ryukishin powered and the allure of the Archfiends, he still managed to slip up in the end. Is there truly no good ending for Warrior of Zera? It's a recurring theme in Yu-Gi-Oh lore. A couple of other stories we covered in videos share a similar idea. Almost every time when someone is greedy for power, they're corrupted in the process of getting it or after they've already gotten it. From the very start, power was what Zera was after. It was his ulterior driving motive. So maybe he was doomed for corruption from the get-go. But maybe this is also the key to Zera's story and his final ending. The Sanctuary alternate ending actually has two branches. As we already discussed, the first branch is when Zera gets the power of the Archlords, but it corrupts him in the end. In the second branch, he decides he doesn't need the power of the Archlords. Rewind to when Warrior of Zera finds a sanctuary and becomes Zeradius. This is when he realizes that perhaps the power of the Archlords isn't everything. He keenly realizes that although the power of the Archlords is available to him, it might be best not to take it. Because if he did take it, he could become prideful, or worse yet, he could totally lose himself. After all, when you get too strong too quickly, that's often when you get corrupt. But that's not the only thing. You see, Zeradius ended up enjoying his role as a herald, which is basically another word for a messenger. Zeradius had a deep epiphany. He noticed that when all his adventures were about becoming more powerful, he'd never feel satisfied. After getting more power, he still wanted more power. But working as a herald for the sanctuary was different. It wasn't as thrilling, but it was peaceful, and he found it more fulfilling than any power that he could have. So he decided, let's stay on this path. Screw the power of the Archlords. After all, he still is slowly getting stronger, just not as fast as he would have liked. But sure enough, as time passes, doing the work of justice allows Zeradius to transcend, becoming the Angel of Zera, where he becomes as powerful as he wanted to be, but learns a valuable lesson that power doesn't matter if you lose who you are. Eternally serving the sanctuary, this is Zera's most dignified and fulfilling alternate ending. So, are there 4 alternate universes for each of Zera's paths? Or was there ultimately one that came true out of all the possibilities? That I don't know. But what I can tell you is this. All of Warrior of Zera's final forms have the same stat line, 2800 attack, 2300 defense, meaning in the end, barring effects, each ending basically had him reach the same power level that he desired at the start. What made the difference was how he got there. See, we all have goals, sometimes power, wealth, fame, or success. And none of these things are inherently bad. But what can mess things up is the way we choose to achieve these things. If, instead of being dedicated and doing good, honest work, we choose to take shortcuts, make deals with the wrong crowd, and let go of our own morals to achieve our goals faster, then in the end, what we lose may be greater than what we gain. Now, I can't tell you which path to take. Like Zera, that choice is yours. I can only hope that whatever path you choose, it's one that you do not regret. Throughout all the episodes so far, I found that these backstories are usually based off other existing stories. For example, you've got Shien and Oda Nobunaga, Outstanding Dog Marin, and... Hachiko. But if you're wondering what Warrior of Zera is based off of, it draws heavy parallels to Matthew 13, an ancient story about a farmer who planted seeds, and there are 4 different outcomes. 3 bad outcomes where the seed fails, and 1 good outcome where the seed became all that it was meant to be, and much more. A lot like Zera, which remember, his name translates to seed, and he has 4 different endings, 3 bad and 1 good. Anyways, if you enjoyed the video, I would greatly appreciate a like and a comment. Also, I suggest a quick subscribe and ring bell so that you don't miss out on the next episode. For other episodes of Yu-Gi-Oh! Lore, I have a playlist on my channel page, where all the previous videos are conveniently organized for you to watch. As for the next one, a lot of people seem to be interested in World Chalice, which has a lot of cards involved, so it might take a while to research. Or would you prefer a classic like Blue Eyes White Dragon, which many more people know about, and the story is not as hidden as the other lores, but it could still be interesting. If you had a choice between the two, which would you prefer? That's it for now. And as always, please have yourselves a good one. This is Gunsblazing, signing out.
So we break the scene. One step deep as you fall to me. High clap, we skip a beat. Count 1, 2, 3.
Cause that's my ninja way.